welcome back to my channel. I'm Lily and this is Lily in the Library. So today we are going to get into my November reads. I'm going to try to get through this very quickly. I only have one book physically here to show you, but I do have 14 books to get through. So I've got my whole list written down in front of me and hopefully we can get through this pretty quickly. So first I want to get into my reading stats. Like I said, I did read 14 books this month. It's not my best month, but it's by no means my worst month. I usually average about 10 to 15 books per month. I would say since I've started reading, or since I've picked my reading back up, I did have quite a deep slump for quite a few months. And I'm happy to say that that seems to be over. I've had a few slumpy moments here and there where I just didn't feel like reading, and I'm just really trying to not give into that because I don't want to see myself read no or two books in a month again. I'm very close to hitting my secret goal, so I'm super excited about that. So with those 14 books, it does break down into 3,261 pages, which is about 108 pages per day, which puts me back on track, and I'm super happy about that because, as you guys know, I do like to read about 100 pages per day if I can. Honestly, anything above 50 is great, but 100 pages per day is my goal. Now, I'm still getting in the hang of things and still trying to figure out my aesthetic and how I want to do things. So I'm trying to include different stats for you guys, like how I consumed these books. As most of you know, I do read a lot with audiobooks. It's just easier for me. It helps me be able to read more. I am a big advocate for audiobooks. So this month I read 8 audiobooks and I read 6 books on my phone or on my Kindle app. And of those 6 books, 4 of them were ARC reads. So that's something that I was super excited about, to be able to be an ARC reader. I read some really great books this month, so I'm very happy with that. For my star rating breakdown, I had 3 5-star reads this month, which is amazing. I also had 6 4-star reads, 3 3-stars, I had a 1-star, and I also had a DNF. So let's get into what books I actually read this month. Starting with my first finished book was The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. This was my first Frida McFadden book I had ever read, and initially in the beginning I was very skeptical. I wasn't sure what the hype was about. I wasn't getting it. I thought I knew exactly what was going to happen. I had already predicted the twist, and I was wrong. I was very pleasantly surprised at how much this book misled me and then just really hit me in the end. So I really enjoyed this book. It was great. I did give it 4 stars. I mean, of course, there was a few things that was like cringy and could have been done better, but overall, I really enjoyed the book and I enjoyed the way that she was able to surprise me. Then my DNF was No Place Like LA by Julie Murphy. This is the first novella after Merry Little Meet Cute, which I loved. I believe I gave that one 5 stars. I really loved that Christmas book, and I was hoping to at least have some of that similar writing in the novella. And I think I've decided to just stick to the main novels. I don't think I'm going to read the novellas in this series. I'm hoping that I'm going to love the next novel in this series. If I don't, I'm going to have to reconsider reading the third one because, like I said, I loved Merry Little Meet Cute, and I'm hoping to love these other books at least close to that. But if not, the whole series may end up being a DNF. But I definitely did not enjoy No Place Like LA. It was not very similar for something that's supposed to be happening, I think, pretty much right after the first novel. There was none of that magic. It felt like it was written completely differently. I didn't enjoy the characters we were following. I didn't enjoy the writing. I didn't enjoy what was going on in the story. I didn't enjoy any of it. I was listening to it on 1.75, and that was still like, I did not want to listen to. I just felt like it was moving so slow. The story was moving slow. There was nothing interesting keeping me there. And yeah, I did not want to waste any more time with it. I was about 20% of the way in, I believe, and I just decided to cut my losses with that one. Then I read my first arc of the month, which was Fragile by Megan Holly, and I loved this book. This was my first 5-star of the month. It is the second in a series. I believe it's Cedar Lake University. Um, it's a standalone series, so you can read them in order or you can read them out of order. It doesn't matter. I believe this is going to be a trilogy. The first book is already out, and then Fragile just came out in November. And the last book, I can't recall the name of it. I will put it on the screen. I'll put the whole trilogy on the screen so you guys will know what I'm talking about. Is coming out next year, I think in April. But Fragile was great. We are following, is it Quinn? I can't remember the names of the characters now. But he, I remember he calls her Queenie. So maybe her name is Quinn. I don't remember. But we're following two main characters, female and male. She's a cheerleader. He's on the college football team, and they are like childhood best friends, which is my favorite trope. Like long time childhood best friends. And they have grown up together. Her brother is his best friend, and so because of that reason they've always kind of like stayed away from each other, but she definitely has had a crush on him like her entire life, and he also has feelings for her, and finally they end up hooking up in this book. And just a lot of things happen within their relationship, a lot of things happens around them, like outside of their relationship, with school and football, and it's a lot of craziness. I would highly recommend this book. It was just so good, and the spice, it is a little bit spicy at times, but it was done very well. And I really enjoyed my time with this one, and I'm so grateful that I got to read it ahead of time. Then, just kind of like going off the back of this spicy, smutty reads, I fell into Unhinged by Vera Valentine, which I did give 3 stars. I talked about it in my reading vlog. My main criticism was, if you're going to call something unhinged, if you're going to give door smut, then go all in, go all the way, balls to the wall. And that did not happen. I felt like there was trying to be a little bit of a romance in this one, and it just wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't jiving with the story. And it was funny, it was good, it was a little bit unbelievable, but I really can't, I did enjoy my time with it, so I can't complain too much. And following that, I also read her other story called Cold Sweat, which I believe I also gave 3 stars, which was equally as ridiculous, if not more so. It is smut about the Kool-Aid Man. That's all I'm going to say about these books because they're very short. I believe they're both under 80 pages. If you like smut, if you like ridiculousness, please go read these books. They were funny, if nothing else. And my only 1 star for the month was Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. I have heard everyone and their mother hyping this book up. I've never read anything by ML Rio before. I thought this would be a great thing to read to see if I want to get into this person, and the answer is no. This was terrible. I don't often give 2 and 1 star ratings, but this, I hated my time with it. I would have DNF'd it, but I kept thinking there must be more to this. I must not be seeing everything. I must not be getting it. And in fact, I actually did listen to this twice. Like I said, it was a novella. I believe it was about a 5-hour listen. And I listened to multiple parts of this story 2 or 3 times, simply because I wanted to make sure that I was picking up everything that was being put down, and what was being put down was nothing. This was a waste of my time. I hated it. I just felt like I walked into the middle of a conversation and then walked out, and nothing, I gained nothing from listening to this book, and I could have spent that time doing something else. I could have spent that time reading something else and enjoying a book. So if it had just been poorly written, it would have been a 2-star. But this was, because I hated my time with it so much, I gave it a 1 star. I just, no, this was not for me at all. Then I read my next arc, Sugar Baby Mine, which was my next 5-star. Sugar Baby Mine is by Kayla Rianne, and it was so good. When I tell you this book hit, oh my gosh, I've been dying to read a book like this. Not even that like anything that happened, just a book that like was so what I needed in the moment and just hit so hard. Like I've been looking for a book to do this for a while, and I found it in Sugar Baby Mine. As you may have guessed from the book title, it is about a sugar baby. I don't remember anybody's name from the story. It's very rare that I remember people's names from the books. I'm not good with names. Even sometimes when I'm reading it, I'm like, oh wait, who is that? So I just remember our main character is struggling through life. She lives with her cousin, who is a sugar baby, currently has a sugar daddy, and she is struggling. She just graduated. Her job's not paying enough for her to pay her bills. She talks a lot about how she barely eats and like should just be scarfing candy from people. She works at a flower shop, so she's a florist. But yeah, and so finally, like her cousin's kind of been, hey, you should sign up to be a sugar baby here and there. But her sugar daddy has a friend who's now looking for a sugar baby. He just got out of his marriage and he's just looking for something where basically he can set limits on the relationship. He just wants someone to kind of like be with him, for companionship and go to events and stuff with him because he is a architect. I think him and his friend run the business together. But yeah, so finally she's like, you know what can it hurt for me to give it a try? So she goes, she meets the guy, they set their limits, they have a little fun together, and they decide to both enter into this relationship. As things start going, like we know that in the end it's not supposed to end up they're together. That's discussed and a clear boundary set early on. He says that if he starts to have feelings for her or if he wants more from this relationship, then the sugar baby, sugar daddy situation would allow that he would end it and that she can also do the same thing. So, with that in mind, it's like we know where this relationship can go. We know what the parameters of the relationship are. And still, you feel them falling for each other. I believe this was only told from her perspective. I don't think we got his perspective until the epilogue. I don't know, the writing, oh my gosh. The writing was so good. I really enjoyed the writing. It was very like descriptive. I had no issues at all seeing exactly what was being written, like picturing things in my mind. The spicy scenes, top notch, best spice I've read so far. The relationship was so believable. Like, I don't know, just it was like these are people that I could know in my real life. This is a real situation happening. You know what I mean? It was that like realistic, that believable, that the writing was that good. And the ending, just this book was so good, okay? I think this is my favorite book of the year. I just loved this book. I need to get my hands on a physical copy like ASAP. This book was so good. I want to read more from her because I just like even if it's not spicy, I don't care. Her writing is just oh so good. Then I read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Finally gave in to the pressure of the internet. And I'm glad I did because I don't like vampire books. Since Twilight, I think I've been avoiding vampire books. And this makes me think maybe I don't need to anymore because I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Pretty sure it's, I don't remember what her name was either. And the Lord is never named. Pretty sure it's Dracula. But it's like, with his like little people that he turns and shit. I don't know. It was just really good the way it was told, the dark gothic vibes, the imagery was great, the writing was actually really well done. It just wasn't there. I think I just can't give a vampire book 5 stars, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't that level for me, especially coming right off of Sugar Baby Mine, which just ticked everything on my boxes. This wasn't it. It was a very different kind of read, but it was still really good. It really evoked a lot of imagery. You know, I was again able to see what was going on, and I don't know, it was a compelling read for me because it was, once I got after the first maybe 20% or so into the book, I really didn't want to put the book down. And that's saying a lot for someone who doesn't like vampire reading. So it was a pretty good book. Then I read my third arc, Alpha Meets Two Lovers by Jennifer Chipman. I haven't ever read anything by her before either, and now I need to read more from her as well. I know she has a few other like little holiday-ish books, so I'm definitely going to be picking those up probably next year. This one, as you might have guessed, Alpha Meets Two Lovers. It's about enemies to lovers, and that's so I gave this 4 stars. I took off that star for a few things because the writing was pretty good, I would say. But one, the nonsense about Florida, I'm sorry, girl, I had to ding you. Also, they never really are enemies, and this is marketed as enemies to lovers. They're not really enemies, and I feel like it was very contrived for them to dislike each other, and he never really dislikes her. She doesn't like him because he's like the boss and he's coming to check up on them. He takes the last muffin or something that she I don't remember. It was really contrived and just really kind of, you wouldn't hate someone for that. Anyway, so you know, he has this big secret about himself, about his family, and obviously as things unfold, she falls in love with him and we find out this big secret, and it's not that big of a deal to her. Like, she also has a secret that she didn't even know. And it just kind of all ties together. I really, without giving away the big thing, I can't really say anything. Um, but yeah, I think his name is Nicholas. So maybe that is a little bit helpful to you. But it was good. It was spicy. I loved it. It was good. Like I said, the writing was pretty great. It was totally, you definitely have to suspend your disbelief with this one, but it was good, and it definitely had all the Christmas vibes, so I was here for it. Okay, then I made more progress in the Bridgerton series with Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I gave that a 4 star. I really enjoyed it. This one was Penelope's story, Penelope and Colin. I honestly felt like this should have been called The Mystery of Lady Whistledown, because what was going on with like their story was almost in the background, and at the forefront was, who is Lady Whistledown. So I mean, it wasn't bad by any means, but I don't know, I felt like we didn't get as much Penelope and Colin as we maybe should have, but I did enjoy their love story. I enjoyed how they got together. It was a really good read. I don't really have much to say about that. As always, it was funny. The writing is well done, and yeah, it just definitely transports you into the 1800s. And then my last arc of the month was Naughty or Nice by Sophie Snow, and again, this was another 4 star, and I really enjoyed it. Again, it was another spicy read. There was some, very interesting takes on Santa. This one is about our main character. I think her name is Aurora, but they call her Aurora. I don't remember what the guy's name is. But there's a significant age gap, I think like 20 plus years, because he's actually her best friend's uncle. So she comes back. She's just been fired from her job. She comes back to her hometown to help her best friend run their Christmas store, which she's going to be the photographer for. And her best friend's dad has recently had an accident, so he has asked his brother to come and play Santa. Pretty much from day one, Aurora and Santa kind of hit it off and have a little something going on. But what I did enjoy about this one was there were some like awkward, weird moments, because obviously she's like another daughter to them, and it's just a little weird for the best friend's parents and family. But she does approach her best friend before she makes any kind of move or does anything, and talks to her about, if she's comfortable with this, if this is okay with her, and basically like what her opinion is on the whole situation. And the best friend is very supportive. And yeah, we just have these great open lines of communication with pretty much everybody in the story, which was so refreshing because I hate miscommunication. That is my least favorite trope. And for that to not be in this romance at all was just amazing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to put this at a 4.5, because I feel like it's just a little bit above a 4. But yeah, and it just, there's never, like, they even end up being long distance and there's just never any miscommunication, and I love that so much. And my last 4-star for the month was The Quiet Tenant by Clemence Michelon. I'm not sure. This was a great thriller, another one that I had been waiting to read. And when it finally came to it, I was not disappointed. The only thing I will say is it wasn't quite as unhinged as I was anticipating, but it was very crazy. We're basically following this man. The story's not told from his perspective. We don't really I don't think we get his perspective at all, do we? I don't think so. It's mainly told from the perspective of his prisoner, spoiler alert, and this other woman who is like having a crush on him in the town. He is keeping this woman hostage in his shed at the beginning of the book, and he tells her that they have to move, him and his daughter. His wife has recently died. Obviously, the daughter does not know anything about this woman in the shed. And in order to save her life, she convinces him to take her with him to their new house. And it's pretty crafty. She's pretty smart about it, because she gets him to take her with him, and prolongs her life during their move and stuff. And she ends up living inside their house, and she has all these comforts that she hasn't had in 5 years. And the story just gets crazier and crazier. She starts to develop a relationship with his daughter, who's kind of like, I wouldn't even say she's really rebelling against him, but there's a lot of feelings. My only like real criticism of this book is we never really get any background on him, on like, is there a reason why he's doing this? Because he was doing it long before his wife died. So we don't really get any background on that. And then we get these like fleeting moments of chapters from, I'm assuming, previous victims. And there isn't a whole lot to that either. So it's almost like, why even why even give us that? It was good. The ending was pretty unexpected for me. I get why it was ended like that. I could have seen it going a totally different way. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. And my second to last read was Mexican Gothic, which I ended up giving 3 stars. I think this is mainly my own fault. I did kind of hype it up in my head a lot, and I was really hoping to love this book, and I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I loved the writing. I felt like the writing was just amazing. It was great. The imagery was great. The dark gothic vibes were totally there, but just, I don't know, the events that were taking place in the book were not so compelling. I found myself having to push through this book a lot more than I would have thought when I started it. Even when we got to like these parts that were so disgusting and interesting at the same time, when we're finally finding answers to the mystery and what's going on, I still wasn't loving this book enough to really want to keep reading it. So, and then the ending, what was that ending? I just, no, and it's fading from my memory. We are following, what is her name? We are following Noemi. See, when you have the book, We're following Noemi, who has gone to her cousin's new home at the behest of her father because something is weird. Like they received this weird letter. So she kind of goes to investigate what's going on. She gets there, and the cousin is like really sick. She's like catatonic sometimes, and it just doesn't make any sense. She's not behaving like herself. Plus, everything that's going on at the house is weird. A family living there, it's something. It's really something. And then she ends up talking to like a few people in the town, like the doctor and the like kind of like medicine woman situation. She's more of like a spiritual healer and stuff. She's not so much medicine. So she ends up talking to them, and she's finding out things about the town and the family, and like they have their own special doctor. The local doctor never helps them, and we never, like, we do get answers, but up until we get the big answer, she has no idea what's going on with the cousin, what's happening with the house. Like, there's weird mold spores that she can't figure out what's going on. She's having crazy dreams. They don't want her to smoke in the house. Like, it's, I mean, which I don't want you to smoke in my house either, but it's just weird. Um, when we find out what the whole thing is, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. I don't know. It just wasn't this big deal like I feel like it should have been, maybe. And yeah, it just lost a lot of steam for me, and it never really had a lot of steam to begin with. So, but like I said, the writing was great, imagery was great. It was just very slow moving, and it never really piqued my interest that much. And the last book I read in November is The Widow's Husband's Secret Lie by Frida McFadden. This book was hilarious. I was listening to this book while I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and I was just laughing and having the best time the whole time I was listening to this book. It is marketed as a sarcastic novella, and that is 100% true. It's so funny, though. Like, it's so funny, it's stupid. Some of the things, like, somebody goes to jail for overdue library fines. What? And then they talk about, like, Nickelback is mentioned. This, please go read this book. Even if you don't like Freedom McFadden, this book was so funny. And I listened to it as per usual on Libby. And yeah, it was just, this book was so funny. We are following a woman whose husband has just recently died, and then she thinks she sees him following her in like supermarkets and down the street and stuff. She has this mysterious neighbor, best friend who lives next door, and just weird stuff starts happening to her, and it just gets dumber and dumber. Like, wait until you find out why she's had LEDs installed into all the closets. This, please go read this. It's so funny. It was so funny. So that is what I read in November. I hope you guys have enjoyed recounting this month with me. I would love to know if you have read any of these books, what you thought, if you agree with me or disagree with me. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you haven't read any of these books, what books did you read in November? Please let me know. So if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.